everyone for joining us today. Um, Welcome, DJ Eshelman, a fellow Tennessean. It's been a while since I've seen you, so great to see you again. So for this session, we are going to talk about AI. So DJ, if you want to introduce yourself and give a little bit more background on
Sure thing, will
the topic.
do. My name is DJ Eshelman. For those that don't know me, I'm the long-haired guy on the screen here. And actually, while I'm doing this, there is actually a app called Slido that I'm going to be using for throughout this whole presentation. So if you would like, go ahead and scan that QR code, or go to slido.com and then enter the code there, 1930159. So great way to interact. In fact, let's try one right now. So mostly what I'm curious about is what describes your current job role. What are you doing today? And I tried to cover most things here, but obviously there's some variances. So let's see how this goes. So a little background here. My name is DJ Eshelman. Like I said, I'm actually from around the Nashville area, just south of there. Yeah, and I've been in the Citrix world primarily since about 2003, 2004, that time frame. And so that's been my expertise. That's why I wrote books on that topic and things like that. In about 6 years ago or so, actually, it's been a while to write Citrix Hero and another book called Just Do This, A Simpler Way to Succeed in IT, which is all about my services methodology. And so primarily what I've been doing these days is kind of a combination of still doing consulting work, still helping people with kind of their overall strategies from a project methodology standpoint, but also I have joined a group from John Maxwell's team called the Maxwell Leadership, and I am doing a lot of leadership development and training for people. There's a lot that entails, but that's probably about half of my time is spent with that these days. And so almost got everybody in. I think there's a lot more people that are in the webinar that are actually than I've actually voted yet. So I'll give this another quick second of vamping before we jump in here. So, all right. So I think it looks like, okay, this is kind of what I was suspecting is that there is a good wide mix, but mostly people are in that space of either implementing the technology or designing for it, which is good. So let's go on. So now I'm going to take you back to about literally 10 years ago. In fact, probably almost to the day. And back in that day, we had this discussion going on about automation, and people were concerned about automation taking their job. And specifically, they were talking about Citrix Cloud taking their jobs. And so I was at the Colorado, had started up the Colorado CEGC at that time, and started off a slide presentation kind of like this, where everybody was so concerned about Citrix Cloud, it's going to make everything obsolete. We're not going to be administrators anymore. They're ticker gerbs. They're ticker gerbs. And so that was just kind of yeah, it's interesting to hear this whole thing again. So what is old has been made new again. There's nothing new under the sun kind of thing. But at the same time, I do want to just mention that it's going to be all right. But in any case, let's go to the next little thing. I wanted to hear from you. How concerned are you that AI is going to impact your job? And so, okay, some not concerned here. So give this a second. So for me, I will be honest with you. When it comes to this whole AI thing, I've been looking for ways to look at this that are practical for what I do as a primarily as a consultant in the field that's doing strategy kind of stuff and designs and some implementation work, but a lot of that kind of stuff. And honestly, I haven't been really feeling the use case. I haven't been feeling it lately, but that doesn't mean that nobody else is. And so there's others that are okay, maybe slightly concerned, is starting to win out here. And it's like somebody already did. It's awesome, great. It's a good impact. So that's good to hear. Some are not concerned, moderately concerned. Okay, so we got a pretty good balance here of folks that are in various kind of modes with. Oh, see, now we got a tie. So who hasn't voted yet? There we go.
Oh,
All
getting
right,
some
so
tiebreakers here.
so a lot of people are feeling pretty awesome about AI. So that's great. So and at least it's probably great for the moment. We'll see if that sticks around. But what I wanted to talk about today is basically three things. We're going to go through, okay, let's not live in fear. Let's live in reality and see what kind of things that we're all pretty familiar with at this point. But honestly, this is an ever-changing landscape. But what does that look like? Um, I want to talk a little bit about the advantages we have specifically in EUC. This is not something I'm doing in other presentations about this, but specifically in the EUC. What kind of things that we do that benefit the future. And then I want to take some time today and actually do an actual workshop. I want to actually spend some time with you and have you take notes and write down answers and get a direction going forward, whatever that might look like. And so that's what we're going to be doing towards the end. And honestly, the future really here, it's going to belong to those that can take positive actions on these things that actually connect, reality with where we're at, but also where we're going. And so looking at that. So it's really not, you know, part of theory as much anymore as it is just a raw reality. And so I wanted to get into that part of it as well. So basically there's some stats on the screen, the various things you see, like, Gartner saying that by 2030, no work will be done by humans without AI. That doesn't mean that they'll be doing all the work, but 75% of that will be human plus AI and 25% AI alone. We'll make some arguments about that here soon, but we also have agents that are now basically using EUC. And so this is something that's actually important to know because that might impact some things, but also it's very interesting to see what that's happening from some work standpoints. We already know that Citrix is integrating AI. Or if you don't know, Citrix is integrating AI into the Cloud DAS offering, and I've played around with it a little bit, and I'll reserve my actual judgment. But I will say that it's something where it's the classic saying of AI is as stupid now, it'll never be that stupid again. Or if it's smart now, it'll always get smarter from there. However we're going to look at it. But honestly, the trends, obviously, some of the discussions we've already had today, these are all pointing towards there is a future with AI, and there's just simply no escaping it, and we can't be ignorant of that. So, what this looks like, and this list, I basically asked a few different AI mechanisms to describe this to me, and so yeah, they came up with the usual stuff, and I was like, okay, well, I can put that in a slide. Oh, I'm not putting that in a slide, that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, this is the list I came up with, and I pretty much agree with it. That as far as AI doing things, what this is trying to do is compress time to take things that can do that. Well, the problem is, yeah, you have the people that are having AI write things for them and sort of those things and doing searching for them, that sort of things. But honestly, I think the future is much more in those things that can be repeated, those kind of tasks that are just able to be compressed as far as that amount of time that's being taken here. And so basically the guidance here is if the work is repeatable, if it's easily explained, um, spoiler alert, if the work is something that requires a certification and that AI can get that certification, those kind of things are all where AI is going to be taking that. I don't think it's really a debate anymore. That is something that is going to happen. So that doesn't mean necessarily that the person disappears, but it does mean that our job descriptions are changing and our general knowledge basis has to change along with it. What are we doing with that knowledge? And that's really what we're after today. So especially for all of you that said the AI is already helping you in your job today, or if some of you that are just kind of been wondering about it and want to see what kind of, just take a moment and just put in the Slido chat there what kind of things that you can see AI helping you in your job, or even sometimes replacing the jobs. So like the kind of things, aspects of your work that maybe you don't like as much. Maybe that you just would like to not have to do any more. Documentation is probably one of the more popular ones. um, and actually, I'm going to answer that now. So the somebody asked about what do you mean certification? And yes, that's a knowledge test, like a whatever vendor certification you might have. That's what we mean by that kind of knowledge that can be memorized. So so documentation, the CFO translator, whoever said that, you're my people. It's like, take this and un complicate this, that sort of thing. Okay, so we're getting some things here that are showing up. Um, some website dev. I love this. So I recently implemented a something I've been doing a lot more of with on-prem stuff, where I'm basically saying, we have all these web interfaces. So I just quickly coded a quick way to just have a master website that you'd go to get to all those. And so there's things like that we can do. Scripting, anything that's repeatable, anything that needs to be triggered. I think we're going to see a lot more of this, just whether it's just being all prepared for us and we just hit go. Yeah, that's all relative. And so what I'll say about that is question to start asking is, do I really want to be the one that has to sit there and click go? Yeah, so there's some questions like that. So this is really cool. Maybe I'll have that. I'll get a report of this, but if anyone else takes a screenshot of this, feel free to. In 3, 2, 1, as I click the next one. So basically, so AI is coming for tasks. We say things like it's taking our job, but AI is not after titles necessarily. Although I will say that one of the things that I am starting to look at very seriously is literally having AI agents that are working for me in my own business. And whether that means as a side hustle or as the main business, I'm looking at that very seriously. So there might be things that literally are job titles. So, but the basic knowledge here is that first you're compressing time, right? So your triage stuff. It's like, oh, where does this route? Documentation we mentioned, uh, drafting scripts, not necessarily executing them, but saying, okay, based on what I know, this is likely going to be your best bet. Basic standard troubleshooting stuff, reporting and analysis, that sort of thing. But the second round here that AI is coming for, and in a lot of cases actually is succeeding with, is those kind of augmented tasks. That it's mostly just things that are AI is just not really there yet to be able to fully do this. Things that it really needs us to at least go to the finish line, at least do the last, that Pareto principle of 80-20. This is where, we really need to be able to do that to get full time compression. And then there's the stuff that, it's just completely out of scope. And honestly, some of this stuff might have some AI assistance, but a lot of this is just frankly not there. It's just not really going to be there. You're not going to get a dynamic and awesome speaking presentation like this from AI. It's just not going to happen. You'll get something pre-programmed. You're not going to get good team leadership out of AI. You're not going to get good company leadership out of AI, even though sometimes it kind of feels like some of the ones we won't mention might just be machines and maybe not intelligent machines at that sometimes. But nonetheless, you're seeing that out there, right? And so, but building things like customer or user trust, things like making judgment calls. These are things that AI might assist you with the knowledge to do that, but ultimately, that's not going to be an AI thing, at least not anytime soon. And hopefully, with some of this, never. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit though about some of the advantages you guys have, because honestly, this is something where I've come to realize that there's a reason why I have not felt a lot of fear or had a lot of like, oh my gosh, what are layoffs going to be a big thing? And a lot of us, we're just, we're watching that go by and it's just, we're somehow dodging it. We don't know why. Well, I think I do. And that's because the people that are actually led by teams that know what their value is because there's these key areas that we have to know that other people just don't. Your average vibe coder is not going to know this kind of stuff, right? So we're not just desktop people, really. We're people that have a whole stack of knowledge. We need to know all about networking. We need to know that it's always DNS. We need to know about storage. We need to know, okay, well, what are the implications of various types of storage? What kind of things do we need to know for storing profiles or making image clones or whatever that looks like in that technology? We need to know way too much about identity management and policy management and all these kind of things that are flowing into our job that, Steve Greenberg and I have talked about this for years about how there's just an ever expanding realm that EUC people have to know. We need to know about security. Well, what business do we have in security? Well, we're the ones that have to interface with the users. And so we know all about this kind of stuff, and we really wish we didn't, but we do. And then, of course, there's the dreaded applications, because apps got to be apps, and you have all these things that are depending on us for that. But there's all these always kind of intricacies and quirks and dependencies that, hey, you know what? That's just part of the gig. But also, and this is really, I think, this one here is what I want you to lean in on, the business aspect of this, the business of end user computing. It's not really as simple as some people even think it is, because you've been at this for so long, you don't realize what kind of talents you have. You probably don't realize just how much you're able to take a basic user need and translate that into technology. Do you realize how rare that is? If you look around at the world in general, and how people are putting supposed solutions forward, most of those are a solution in search of a problem. We don't do that. We have solutions for problems. So that starts with the problem. It starts with the need. That's unique. Now, AUC, it's something where AI kind of sucks at that kind of stuff right now. It'll be one of the last areas impacted, are these kind of things because of this. Now, but honestly, do you really want to bank your career on that being untouched by AI? Do you really want to do that? I would probably suggest that you don't want to do that. And so what I'm going to do is take you through a very quick journey. I've done presentations like this before. We've just done some updates to this about how EUC uniquely positions us. And so you go from that admin level where you just know the console, to the engineer level where, hey, you know what? You have the understanding now. You're at that, what I call understand layer of a methodology. You get it. And you're at that point of being able to build and implement those changes. And then some are in that kind of architect level where they've just said, okay, based on my experiences, based on what I've learned over the years, based on my ability to translate need into technology, I know how to do this in a design and be able, hopefully, to hand that off to someone else to actually implement, which, by the way, when we talk about scripting and automation, these are the kind of things where if you're thinking about it well, your risk is much, much less. And so where we're going now, though, is some other areas that I'm seeing emerge very realistically for the first time, probably in a decade. And one level is kind of where I had kind of cut things off, when that being that strategist. It's like, hey, yeah, you know how to connect these outcomes, but you're also kind of that influencer within a company, or even sometimes a lot of us are influencers outside of the company, which is kind of cool. And so you have that ability to kind of influence that change. But in this next era, in what we're kind of tongue-in-cheek calling the AI era leader, if that's not really a great term for it, but work with me. But these are the people that are guiding humans, guiding the AI, getting the scripts, whatever that looks like, whatever automation, whatever words for automation you give today. But you're also looking at risk management as a whole and setting a direction based on an overall vision. In other words, well, this is something that is really key to learn here, is that AI really, by definition, the way it's been designed, it can only ever look backwards and try to, basically match a pattern to the future. It can only ever look backwards. Humans look forward. So when it comes to things like leadership, this is why setting vision is something that AI just really doesn't get well. It might be able to emulate some basic patterns that it's seen before and present that as if it's inventing something. But the reality is it can't. It can only learn and look backwards while it's doing it. So another way to say this for our careers, though, is I'm speaking against complacency today. I'm saying if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. If you're just going to sit there and do your job and hope for the best, I've probably got some bad news for you. So what we're going to do here is what I'm calling a little mini workshop. We're going to take the next, I think, 8 minutes and go through this. And so if you have your pen and paper, this is where you're going to put this to work. And we're going to go through 3 areas. direction, energy, and showing some evidence and going through some networking exercises with that. So big question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I didn't put this up as a poll. I just want you to answer this for you. Like, where do you see this going for you? And a lot of you will just say, okay, well, this is going to be kind of like a architect level thing. I'm going to keep in that, or maybe I need to put that into something else. But basically, your current vision, what does that look like just based on this? And we're going to know that we're going to challenge this. But where do you think you're at? Where do you think you're at with that? And I was going to put some music on for us, but apparently that didn't work out. I should have like put it in the slide apparently, but that's it's all good. And by the way, if you want to put your answer in the chat, you're more than welcome to. So if you see yourself going into leadership of some sort, if you see yourself going to be a people manager, if you want to go into sales, um, uh, in DevOps kind of stuff, where you're switching what you do completely into other areas that are technology adjacent. Um, Hybrid role like me, yeah, got it. Retiring, I'm starting to see a lot of that. I'm starting to see a lot of people that are just taking the exit sign. And you know what? There's a whole other talk on that. But now that we're starting to see Gen X people like myself starting to retire, there's some alarm bells going off. So
Yeah. I
we're gonna go on
aspire
that.
to that
Yeah.
one of these days.
And by the way, if anybody wants to take a screenshot of this to have future reference, I'll give you 5 seconds to do that. All right. Same. Now the next question is, okay, so I think I might know a direction, but now we're going to challenge that. And we're going to say, okay, what kind of things give you the most kind of energy? And this is kind of where we're saying, okay, what kind of things will I do naturally? In some of the presentations that I do, I call this finding your area of talents, the kind of things that you are just really good with this. It doesn't wear you out at the end of the day. Um, for me, it used to be solving deep technical problems. That used to be the thing that gave me the most energy. Nowadays, it saps my energy. It actually, I don't like doing it anymore. And it's a shame. But hey, if I kept in that role just because that once gave me energy, and I'm not being honest with myself, that's that's a recipe for disaster here. But there's so many different things we can do with these roles in the future that these are the kind of things that you can look to. So take a screenshot of this if you want to, and feel free again to give any answers in the chat here. Yeah, I think for me, that mentoring, leading people is really where I'm at personally, and so I've been kind of formulating my efforts around that. But honestly, it's work. It's work to make that into something that's viable. Trust me. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Mhm.
1. All right, and finally, this is kind of cool. So whenever I'm guiding new entrepreneurs or people that are just new in their career, a lot of times I'll ask this question. And for most of us that in the first part of the questions here, we saw that everybody has some level of experience for the most part. We have some that are kind of newer, which is great. We need to see more of that in EUC. But the question becomes, what are people always coming to you for anyway? Are you somebody that is and it's to answer Tony's question, yes, it's probably always going to be a mix of these things. But where do you see patterns that you're most commonly at? What kind of things do you see the most? And I'll tell you this right now. If all you can see is a mix of that's actually kind of dangerous. If you just see it as you're just doing everything, that can become a victim mentality. You don't want that. What you want to do is sit down at the end of your day and take an inventory. Okay, what kind of things people come to me for, and journal this. Make sure it's actually something that matches with what is coming naturally to you, and that will help you determine if there's a change you need to make in your career, and it feels good to have that kind of thing as your identity. That's good. Sometimes even asking people what they see in you is a key with this. Like asking the question of, of employers and people that you serve or people that know you personally. It's like, which of these do you see most in me? And getting those answers down, that's really important. So take a screenshot of this one. I know some people are kind of struggling with this too, but honestly, this is something where if you start thinking this way, we're going to actually have some goodness here. So that's why I wanted to take a pause on this one especially and get this nailed down. But we're going to move on because we have about 3 minutes left or 4 minutes left. So what this does is you can translate this and definitely take a screenshot of this one. I want you, this is one that I absolutely want you to have because what you're going to find is that the columns on the left there translate to the columns on the right. And so if you are really into that, finding the weird solutions, the weird, how nobody know this is going on, but somehow I figured it out. If you're that person, then really just being that subject matter expert that's well paid and well secured in their position makes a lot of sense, right? Let's say that you are somebody who just naturally wants to give people that mentor kind of relationship where you're always encouraging them. Those are the kind of things that make for a good team lead. If you're somebody that actually really is good at delegating where things can go, that's another thing that's in leadership or management that really makes you good at that. And so if that's something that comes natural to you, that's something that you should be considering for a future career in the new age. If you're somebody that's really good at determining, okay, these people need this, and they're always asking me for advice on what they should do. Well, that might be something really, being part of like a customer success or CS team or a TAM or something like that might be a good role for you in that. And so, there's lots of those kind of emerging as increasing. So make sure you have your screenshot of this one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here's another way to present this. So feel free to take a screenshot of this one too. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because it's a lot very similar, but this is kind of like you like statements, like you like these things. These are more likely to be a good next move for you or an upgrade of your current move, or it might be something where you just need to say, okay, this is my lane. I'm going to do everything I can to excel in this and become irreplaceable. Um, I'm not going to belabor this a lot, but I did want to mention that networking is really a key here. And I see a lot of folks that are just kind of not doing a lot on platforms like LinkedIn, but you're doing a lot on things like Twitter or whatever flavor of the month of doom scrolling might happen to be. And I'm not trying to call anybody out. I'm just saying that energy is something that time that's not going to come back. You don't get that time is always moving forward. It never moves back. Once you've spent it, it's spent. And so really, if you're going to be looking at this next era, networking is going to become one of the things we need to do the best. Specifically on the bottom of those bullet points there, just to point out, being able to tell people what you're looking for, not machines, not whatever, AI based thing you're going to be applying for the job for, actual people. It's super important. Don't rely on that, but being able to say, okay, it's not just a job hunting kind of a thing. You're really looking for mentoring. You're looking for if somebody is in a role that you are after, then it's really key to connect with them. In fact, this is a question that I've been asking people, is kind of to be honestly scoring themselves. And I'm putting a QR code on the screen here. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, that's where you would do that. But feel free to take a screenshot of this. I'll probably be making this into a YouTube video or something like that pretty soon. Honestly, I think this is one of those things where it's like people just need more time to process this kind of stuff. But score yourself on that. Screenshot in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then as far as mentoring relationships, score yourself on this. And I changed up the order just to confuse you. Uh, but if within the last month you are seeking out a mentor to guide you, then I'm going to award you full points. I will tell you right now that I invest several $1,000s a year in being in the right room to be with mentors and people that can help me grow. Super, super important. There's a little thing here you can grab. Just if you're looking for something to say to someone you don't necessarily know all that well and you want to start a mentoring relationship, Say, hey, person, I'm currently working in this. I'm looking at some changing of my career, and I would like to know more about what your role is like, what kind of matter, what skills matter the most, that sort of thing. What does that look like? And so, again, QR code. Um,
Yep.
I'm gonna have you take a screenshot of
Let's,
this one, but
yeah, we gotta wrap it up.
yeah. So the honest truth is, guys, there's action steps you need to be taking, and it doesn't have to be all the action steps at once. It's one of those things where you absolutely just need to be taking action. That's the most important thing. Bias towards action. So in closing, complacency is AI is going to take your jobs, but responsibility is asking the question of what kind of professional is AI giving me the excuse or the chance to become? And remember, leadership's not a title. It's an orientation for responsibility. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. I do have a survey out there too, but if you want to connect with me and leave me any kind of feedback, I greatly appreciate it.
Awesome,
And
DJ.
yeah,
Appreciate you. That was a really great session, and thanks everyone for joining. I know we're a little over time, but next up is Dave Fisk from Nerdio for our next sponsor session. So we will see you there. Thanks, DJ. We need to catch up sometime, okay?
yeah, absolutely.
Thank y'all so much.